less is more. Hey everyone, I'm Matthew Cornwell with Get Taped here in Atlanta, Georgia, one of Atlanta's original audition taping services. While you're here, be sure to subscribe and leave a comment below if you like this video. Now on to our topic. Less is more. We've all heard this phrase before, and usually it's in the context of comparing stage acting versus film acting. On stage, you have to reach that last row in the theater, and in film, like this cell phone camera, the lens might be less than a foot away from your face. So naturally, on camera, you need to do less to achieve the same result in your performance. Here's another context for the phrase less is more. Katherine Hepburn was quoted once as saying, "If you give the audience a chance, they'll do half the acting for you." In other words, if you try to give the audience all the answers, you'll bore them. The audience needs to meet you halfway, bringing their own life experiences to the table to fill in the gaps that you're not giving them overtly in your performance. However, there's a third way to look at this phrase that I want to share with you today. And I'll say it this way: you need to do less to allow for the more. So what do I mean by that? Well, actors often forget how truly collaborative this medium is. When we see a brilliant performance, we forget to give credit to the cinematographer, or the director, or the editor, or the lighting designer, or the set designer, or the costume designer, etc., etc. All of those disciplines contribute to what we perceive as a brilliant performance. Side note, I actually teach an on-camera class where we explore some of these very concepts. For instance, how a dolly shot affects your performance, how the addition of a score from the composer can affect your performance, how the pace of the edit will affect whether your performance is perceived dramatically or comedically, etc. But enough about my class. Back to the topic. My argument is simply that if you are doing too much, if you're trying to chew the scenery to fill the frame and build a nuanced, complicated performance, if you're not careful, you might not be leaving room for these other disciplines to contribute their part. For instance, if you're overdoing your reaction to bad news, well, then they can't really do the push-in shot slowly onto your face because that will actually make your performance look too big, possibly even comedic. Likewise, if your character is experiencing a moment of betrayal, and if you overdo that moment, then the composer will be reticent to add a musical cue because that might take your performance from believable into the range of too much. So take that burden off of yourself. Do less to allow for the more. But wait, Matt, you might be saying, what about self-tapes? I don't have all those other disciplines to contribute to my performance. You're right. Oh wait, you wanted me to go on? Well, what I have to say about that is rather nuanced, so only the savvy, well-trained actors should keep listening. Because I'm all for doing subtle lighting adjustments, using my physicality to approximate or replace what the camera's movement would have done for me on set,
or occasionally taking other risks when I submit my self-tapes.
But if you don't already have a huge foundation of training underneath your belt, then ignore what I just said. Why? Because you don't have the years of experience to give you the wisdom and insight you need to know when it's appropriate to tweak these elements. But if you have a home setup, for instance, then you can practice this stuff on your own. I just wouldn't wait until there's an audition at stake. That's not the time to be exploring new things and taking big risks when you really don't know how they're going to pay off or not. Because you could end up leaving a really bad taste in the casting director's mouth if it's not received the way you hoped it would be. Even though I kept this topic a little shorter than normal, I'm sure there are additional questions or thoughts that you might have. Feel free to leave a comment below or reach out to us over email. And don't forget to subscribe. That's all for now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on set.